Namaskar. Welcome to DSEJ Home Classes. My dear students, today I am here with the next topic of the chapter second, and that topic is the viruses, viroids, and the lichens. My dear students, as you know, there is no mention of the acellular organisms like viruses, viroids, and lichens in the RH Whitaker system of classification. But since they live in the nature and have a great impact upon the overall ecosystem and all the life, I shall be discussing briefly over here. As everybody of us is aware of the deadly coronavirus, and all of us have suffered from flu and various impact of viruses, and even if you do not associate with it, our life, it finds a virus is always find a place uh, in the life of the mankind. So, before I discuss viruses, I would like to tell you about something about how the viruses and by whom they were discovered. So, far as discovery of viruses is concerned, it was Berejnik in 1897 who coined the term virus, which has actually come from a Latin term which means poison for a substance where, first of all, when it was discovered from the substance which in the tobacco mosaic plants. Actually, these viruses are non-cellular organisms, and they are characterized by having an inert crystalline structure outside the living cells. So the name virus, which was coined, which means venom or the poisonous fluid, this was first of all isolated from the mosaic disease of the potato. They were found to be smaller than bacteria because they have passed through the bacteria proof filters. What I mean to say by this is that the filter through which bacteria cannot pass, the virus can pass through that filter, which shows that their size is even smaller than the bacteria. M.W. Bejernik demonstrated that the extract of the infected plant of the tobacco could cause infection in the healthy plant and called the fluid as Contagium vivum fluidum, which means infectious living fluid. It was found by W.M. Stanley in the year 1935 that viruses could be crystallized, and crystals consist largely of the protein. These are the viruses, they are on the borderline of the living and the non-living things, and they are made up of two things. First is the nucleic acid, which could be DNA or RNA, but never both. It could be RNA or DNA, but never both. It was found by this Edward Jenner, who in the year 1796 developed smallpox vaccine used from the pus from the cowpox. Now, these viruses, once they were found, and it was their chemical composition was also discovered. Viruses were found to have the general genetic material DNA or RNA and a protein coat. I would explain the structure of the typical virus because every virus has a different orientation of the nucleic acid, its cover, and the protein structure. But generally, the virus structure is something like this, that a virus generally consists of the viral core. As you can see in the figure, it consists of the viral core, which is containing the genetic material, either DNA or RNA, and never both, which is covered by a capsid, which is actually the monomers or the protein molecules, and further it is covered by an envelope. The protein coat is also called as the capsid. The structure that I am showing you on the screen is not true for all the viruses. It is the typical structure that virus could have. In addition to proteins, as you can see, Viruses could contain the DNA or the RNA. A virus is a nucleoprotein and a genetic material is infectious. In general, viruses that infect plant have single-stranded RNA and viruses that infect animals have either single or double-stranded RNA or double-stranded DNA even. This RNA and DNA, what I am saying, that is in a general. But as nowadays we are talking everywhere about the coronavirus, this virus is having single-stranded mRNA. This is a retrovirus belonging to the family Coronaviridae. Now, one thing more that I will be discussing about viruses, their characteristics of the viruses. First of all, I have told you just now that viruses have the inner core of nucleic acid surrounded by the protein coat known as the envelope. Now, see the size of the viruses. They are quite smallest. This is even smaller than the bacteria. The size ranges in the form of 20 to 250 nanometer, which is quite a smaller size. Viruses are inert, nucleoprotein and filterable. What I mean to say by this, that the virus is the particle which is in on the borderline of living and non-living things. Once it is outside the living body, it is it works as it is present as an inert particle, as a non-living, but once it gets the body of the host, it takes over the body of the host, and then it behaves as a living organism. It multiplies, increases in number, and therefore viruses could be very well called as obligate intracellular parasite. Obligate means must, and intracellular means within the cell, and they live as a parasite, take over the machinery of the living organism, and then they multiply. Again, I have written here, viruses occupy a place between living and non-living things because outside the body of the living organism, they are crystallizable, and they are non-living outside the body of host, but they are quite living inside the body of the host. Next, viruses depend fully on the host cell machinery to continue their life metabolically inefficient. And as we are all aware of today, the world is facing the trauma of coronavirus. They are responsible for a number of dreadful diseases in both plants, animals, and in the human beings. So, viruses, as I have discussed with you, the viruses cause human diseases, a number of human diseases that viruses are known for. They, such as the protein coat, which is made up of the small subunits called as the capsomeres, that protects the nucleic acid. The capsomeres are arranged in the helical or the polyhedral geometrical forms. Viruses cause a number of diseases like mumps, smallpox, herpes, influenza, AIDS in humans is also that is HIV virus. In plants, the symptom may be mosaic formation, leaf rolling, curling, yellowing and vein clearing, and dwarfing and stunted growth, and so on. After viruses, we have another uh, organism, and that is the viroids. Here on the screen, you can see the structure of viroids, which is even smaller than the viruses, and it was discovered by T.O. Diener in the year 1971, and he discovered a new infectious agent that was even smaller than the viruses and caused potato spindle tuber disease. It was found to be free of RNA. That is, virus consists of nucleic acid and the protein coat. It lacked the protein coat that is found in the viruses. It was found to be a free RNA. Only RNA, only nucleic acid was there, and hence it was called as the viroid, means virus minus protein coat. The RNA of the viroid was of a very low molecular weight. It was very low molecular weight but was capable of causing disease in the potato once it entered the cell of the host. So after viroids, I have to discuss with you a very beautiful creation of the nature, and that is the lichens. What are lichens? You can see here I have written the symbiotic association of algae and fungi. Now the lichens are symbiotic association which are mutually useful association between algae and the fungi. Now the algal part is called as the phycobiont. The algal part is called because it is made up of two parts, the algal part and the fungal part, which live in close association with each other, mutually benefit each other. The algal portion is known as the phycobiont and the fungal portion is known as the mycobiont. Which are out of these, the phycobiont is photosynthetic and the mycobiont is heterotrophic. Algae prepares the food for fungi and fungi provides shelter and absorb minerals, nutrients and water for its partner. Means both are helping each other. So close is their association that if you ever see a lichen, as you can see in the figure, if you see this lichen in the nature, we would never imagine that this is consistent of the two different organisms. As you can see on the screen, the algae and the fungi are closely interwoven. Now, lichens are very useful in the nature. They are very good pollution indicator because they never grow in the polluted area. And when it comes to the succession, mostly in the xerosphere, in the lithosphere, where the succession continues at a rock, lichens are probably the first organisms to inhabit that area. So lichens is a very beautiful creation made up of the two organisms closely interwoven in a symbiotic association. So that's all for today's lecture. We have discussed these three very amazing creations in the nature, the viruses, viroids and lichens. So my dear students, if you have any question, you can ask me on my phone number given in the end, and also on my email. You can follow for me for any query. Till then, thank you. Stay safe, stay healthy till we meet next time with the third chapter, and the third chapter is the plant kingdom. That's all for today.